there was this sort of mini riot that between the officers and the inmates. But I was a teenager, with these grown men and the Mexican mafia or whatever, and they had cardboard armor on and box cutter knives and all this stuff that they had. And the two sides rushed together, and I leaped between them and yelled like, "Wait!" just so that they would let me out.
This is Folded Curiosity. That's a wild concept to wrap your mind around. So you had gone through a 12-step program at 13.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and actually became, so maybe this is what you're talking about with, so I became a paid counselor when I was 15.
I know you've told me that.
Yeah, and to where I would like go into adult rehabs and like have sessions and stuff. And I was totally unlicensed, and I mean, it's wildly inappropriate if you think about it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I find that to be actually not a good thing, and if I was paying to be at a rehab and a 15-year-old sat in a chair across from me, I would be upset that that's what I was paying for,
How did all that, I mean, did your parents put you into the program, or you put yourself?
No, I mean, it happened actually the way I think any other, addict gets sober, which is that, at some point, things are rough enough that you don't want, you can't continue. And then I encountered people that were sober. I had a friend get sober, and then, and then I encountered some people that were, I think it was like coffee after a meeting, and they just were happy, peaceful people that looked comfortable in their own skin and everything, but they were rough folks. I mean, and also wildly diverse. I mean, you had. People of all different sort of types,
this was at
mixing.
13 you saw?
Yeah. But, and I...
That's pretty impressive to be able to process that. Most 13-year-olds are not, their mind isn't anywhere near that, you know?
Well, I think I just wasn't quite sure what I was seeing. I just thought, I want that, And at the time, I think I wanted, I was considering, like, whether or not I wanted to die, but it was a thing where I don't think ever really want to die. I just wanted to change, I wanted everything to be different. And so, when, and I was sort of conflating those two things, like maybe I wanted to kill the life I had, that kind of thing, rather than kill myself. And so when I saw folks that basically were embodying a way of living that I wish I could, then I just thought, well, what is that? I would like, to participate in that. Yeah, sign me up, please. But so yeah, and I think that's actually a fairly organic way to find it. Now, as far as going to rehabs, I mean, I was also, when I was 16, I was teaching. I basically invented this weird class to take to correctional facilities. So I combined poetry and 12-step recovery, but
you did this at 16?
Yeah. So I would go to the payphone in the cafeteria at school and every day and pop in a quarter and call the warden of these facilities that I found. And
what prompted that?
Well, I was really into poetry, and I'd sort of encountered inmates in one of my like speaking things, and I just thought like, oh, this would be a cool way. But what I learned was that there's a lot of illiteracy that was going on, and so I'd never dumbed it down. It just became this kind of oral thing. But we would handle really complex poetry and sort of do 12-step exercises and whatever. And it was fascinating. I mean, but I was a teenager, with these grown men and the Mexican mafia or whatever crying in my arms and stuff. It was really, really wild. And there was this sort of mini riot that between the officers and the inmates that, and the inmates had cardboard armor on and box cutter knives and all this stuff that they had. And the two sides rushed together, and I leaped between them and yelled like, "Wait!" just so that they would let me out first.
Right.
And they did. They all stopped. The officers let me out, and then they all battled. And actually, a bunch of the officers ended up in the hospital after that. But yeah, it was a crazy
wow
thing. But so just to say it was
real. This was at 16.
Yeah, I think I was 17 when that happened, and they and yeah, I went back after, but it was a kind of thing where I was doing all kinds of stuff, and that was 3 months of harassing these wardens, with trying to do this until finally they're like, all right, you get 2 hours every Thursday, shut up, quit calling me. So Yeah,
It's a wild. I mean, I'm just processing all the putting these pieces together. It's pretty intense, man.
Well, I think for me, there was, on some level, I probably felt like, oh, I'm more at home with these people in this environment than I was at school or something. Oh, and then, with the other stuff, I did have this weird talent for kind of just slicing through people's the walls they had up. And I think that's why those rehabs and stuff would be like, oh, you're really great. Can you come, like we have this group of people we can't get through to, and, but they're all like in their 50s and stuff. And I would just kind of sit down and just start like,
a teenager.
Cutting through it. Yeah, exactly. And I've never really been able to utilize that skill since. I did know back then, like, because of course, everyone was like, oh, you should be a therapist or something. And I knew then, like, I cannot make a career out of this. Like, and I need to stop soon, because it was very taxing and, also kind of warping my identity, sort of always associating myself with, all this kind of destructive behavior, creating a narrative about who I was. It was very small, actually, and sort of defined by traumatic things. And so I knew then, even at the time, like this is going to be a short part of my life. But I will say, whatever that skill was that made me good at that, something I've always been searching for a way to utilize that ever since. So I'm not sure. I haven't really figured that out.
Watch the full episode this Thursday.